It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. I'm in this pattern at the moment, or at least that is what flies in this area, or what is posted in this area. This morning I woke up personally. There was, it's not a visual alert like via television or that string theory of reality that somebody's putting out as public service announcement. But in my quantum string, where the only real quantum entanglement I have at the moment is with Linda Lou and my youngest son. Um, and so I'm so all of a sudden, like, this word is recollected by my human machine, in the sense of I'm sitting here and I hear um and I'm recalling back to a set of discoveries that I had about something called a Zohara, and I don't know what language it is. And I'm like, right, Zohara, and that's light or splendor, is how they translate that out. And I'm like, Zohara, what was Zohar? Zohar is how I heard it originally, and a Zohar. Um, so I'm like, now what is that in translation to? And then I looked it up, and it has something to do with this other word I've never heard of, not visually. I've seen somebody attached it to the quantum realm of algorithms on my Facebook at some point. One of the other human participants in Facebook put something up about visual artwork of something that they pronounce as Kabbalah, but that's the sound it makes. So I'm like, but I've never heard humans in my path, my journey, in like real quantum entanglement, where you could physically reach out and touch them and you could have a one-on-one conversation with them. That's what I call quantum entanglement. Like, you showed up for me. And if you showed up for me at this point, I find you incredibly significant, because that means somebody in the 1% sent you. Because I'm pretty sure the 1% is the one that handles holding up the night sky with humans underneath it. And then there's something, I mean, I've heard outside of this space that there's something like about the fight for Middle Earth and whatever, but I don't know. There's been, in this journey where I'm born here to this Linda and Lewis, and the way that time and space has warped around us in a vacuum, considering that I come as one and then I duplicate and I create a solar system out of nothingness, where it's actually calcaneus calculus integrated into a greater matrix system. That's genealogy is now woven into a dimension for which nothing else exists, and it's not definable or explainable, in keeping junk science out of this and the rest of humanity's conversation quieted. So with that being said, the 1% knows that I exist in this vacuum, in this black hole, that I brought a sun in. It was known before I had the sun. They sent a representative to deliver the son. And so, in that aspect, I know I'm incredibly important, and I always was from my birth. Where I'm lost in space is the translation. I don't like the representation of this Kabbalah is there's multiple circles, and then there's an integrated relationship in some polymathematics and polyscience, for which if I had a professional who actually was a study or a real scholar, I would love to have sat in lecture and just listen to them profess. But here we are, and I'm born this very special way. It's a very special zodiac. It's a very special, I mean, they have human scientists like Albert Einstein, just one cog in the machine, one singularity star, not a double star or a whatever, a birthing nebula, I suppose. Again, I don't really know the words that they use at NASA level because I never got there. I was pretty sure I was told that if I remained ladylike to the best of my abilities, wherever I arrived, that the 1% was going to send someone for a respectable marriage. I am so unclear where the break in that reality and the ability to perform that simple task happened along the way. But something happened. And now it warps time and space, it warps reality, and it has caused me, I mean, like, I'm sitting in this space, just, it, it's just, it's, I see on the television that the humans are preparing for Christmas. They're going to shows. They're entertaining themselves in front of Rockefeller Tree. They're doing all of this, like, really spectacular stuff to distract themselves and to entertain themselves. But in my reality, they haven't made a place for me in their reality. I'm not invited to these things. I have no money to go to these things. I have no way to know if these things are safe for me to enter as far as a venue. There's no process. There's no integration into society. There's been no attempt made, really, as far as I'm concerned, in a continuum. Um, so I'm thinking of this very special star point that I was born on. They knew I would have this very special child, which I did. But the 1% part of the equation of holding up the night sky did not deliver on the promise or on the whatever of the correct lifelong partner that I so desired as a child in order to have this special child in the future. Now, stupid things like jealousy and whatever, but at 1%, where every calculation is definable and precise down to the heels on the pavement, in can't go wrong. Can't go, like, wrong is not possible. When it is wrong, and I know it's wrong, and it's been wrong for a while, how do you get message through that time and space is warping in such a manner that it's going to put life on the planet in danger? When there's definable space relation and human interaction in the matrices, and the genealogy that knows it has a special place in space and time can define it very clearly, knows that others are aware of it. But on this island, they have withheld things like learning. I don't know what a koala is. It looks like maybe I've heard a word Yiddish, which I don't know. I've never been taught, never been given that opportunity. Not by symbol. Then I heard this morning also one of the humans speaking on See the BS that, I mean, she was this fabulous person. She was going to go for neurosurgery, but then in graduate school, I'm like, what is a graduate school? What level of humans get that opportunity? Like, why was I not even, I mean, completed high school, and then college was like, fill out an application, and then you just go for more classes. Well, what is the point? Where does that lead me? I had that conversation once with somebody who was not helpful. Um, so, um, so there's like, I don't know how they get into these graduate studies. I don't know what graduate school is. Never even heard of it. I know people go for these things called PhDs. No idea how they get to them. There's career fields I'd love to be in. I have no idea. Where is the pathway to entry? So that speaks to an even greater problem at 1% that they need to know about, is not only am I a definable piece amongst humanity, and I also have this extremely rare blood type, which is ABO group, which has already been discerned. I've already submitted to one of the testing facilities, Alexander, actually, by route of my very special son that I'm on an escalator with. He's the one who gave it to me and ordered it as a gift. And so that also is taken into a ranking of, like, if the top stars are ranked, I have a ranking and a placement amongst them. Where I'm unclear is why so, like, it feels like all, if I'm speaking in a mandala kind of a way, of 1,000 doors, 1,000 possibilities lay before you because you are so special in this world. Why were 1,000 of the doors shut? There's one door open, and it is now like this forced maze walk through this labyrinth where now time and space is warping in such a way that something outside of my control is controlling my journey. Not just in theory, but in actuality, taking away my free will, my choice, and putting me under enslavement. It's not like I'll take this under advisement. No, I am higher than the I'll take it under advisement singularity of stars. They're just points of light in a vast darkness. I actually have dimension, and I've heard them refer to it as a Baktun, where you have this larger cavity, which would have been the womb, and then you have this smaller, intricate, they say the long count civilization and the short count civilization. In Baktun, that is the woman's womb and the gestational period before the baby enters the world, and then that's the short civilization. So you have long civilization, short civilization, and then you have this gestational timing mechanic where they grow together as one. That is definition within time and space that a singular birth date does not have. They just don't. And when you add, I mean, when you have symmetry between the mother's entry and the child, between the equinox and the celestial and the moon and the tide schedules and whatever, it's a completely different system at hierarchy of life on this planet. So when there is that level of knowledge and knowing and studies, and not in junk science, but in real intellectual beings integrated into genealogy, a family matrix, a family tree, who pride themselves on these things. The ability to learn piano was not available. There was one class of ballet, and then that was it. It was over. There was a small class of gymnastics, then it was over. Like these things, I don't understand why they weren't like fit. Cleanliness is as close to godliness, is one of those sayings that I've heard. That ability, I mean, it feels as though I'm in some form of area that is experiencing a super infection, and I don't know how to keep myself clean from that, keep myself out of that, and keep myself in a healthy paradigm while this time and space is warping around my definition, the definition and the clarity that I bring to the universe in complex theory being strung in such a way that possibility, a point of possibility to build something. Why is anybody allowed to build off of my platform? That's what I don't understand. I didn't give them permission. My complacency and the fact that they've silenced me is not my agreement in this. I don't understand how there are people who are working off of physical fitness contracts in a sports arena for which trillions of dollars or billions of dollars pour back and forth. Then there's some entertainment that protects them. Why are they taking any monetary compensation and living better than I am while I am here in this platform with this very specific definition amongst humanity? And I can't even feed myself. I can't even find a door to enter through where there's possibility at I wanted a hummingbird and I wanted to be his respectful flower. I was really clear as a kid. That's what I wanted for my life. And instead, they delivered none of that. So there are failures on so many metrics. It is exhausting when I watch their shoestring budget reality of how they're flashing to one another signals and tracking. And I'm watching this like a hunter in the forest looking for tracks of the animal. And I'm like, I see them. I see them very vividly. I see them going back and forth with one another. What I don't see is where, like, I was withheld not only from the appropriate marriage to the man who's going to have enough intellect for the two of us, so I could just quietly be absorbed into his world and just learn from him and his people's ways in tribes. And how do the tribes trust one another? So, in that simple way of explaining things, they withheld the correct tribe absorption. And now they've been building off of my platform and around me and occluding me from being able to even have a small fraction of this monetary compensation that they keep throwing around at one another. Again, at some point, their house of cards is built on a platform that is easily definable. You can't take me out of that equation. It warps time and space and life on the planet, but they have. And things are going on around me that are outside of my control, and they're not even bringing me into the loop of the conversation. There is no future. There's been no future planning. Since I was a youth, they haven't invited me into future planning. I have no future. I get that. But yet Alex exists, I exist, and we bring definition where there is nothingness. And then people have built trillions of dollars off of that. This morning they had on a really interesting thing also. A bunch of nobodies go to an ATM and they put their ATM card in, and then all of a sudden above the ATM there's a leaderboard, and it shows everybody's photo and the balance in their checking account. And all of the people that use the ATM before you can stand around and measure themselves and their bank account balance amongst everybody else, because now nothing is private. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I was like, that made me smile, because I don't have a bank account. I have absolutely no source of income right now. While there are, I don't even know, in SWIFT codes and ABA routing numbers for the US dollhouse system or the US dollar system, I have no idea how much money is being transacted. I have no idea where to look for it. And I know what my balance is. It's zero. But yet I'm here, and I bring dimension into the universe for which polymathematics and polyscience works off of, to build economy, to build this theory of economy, because that's all it is. It's a hypothesis. And then it gets published, and there's some ruling body over it, which is theoretically, like, I suppose, the 1%, the ones that control that. But at World Bank and Central Bank, when I have zero, and it's steadily, there's no entry ramp for me, and my one hummingbird to flower relationship that I greatly desired was stolen or taken or withheld from my ability to get to, or for them to get to me. Why is this paradigm shift not quicker and more swift in fixing my very real situation? I don't understand this. Why is there so much gameplay when there is at 1% with no room for error? I am positive, I am definite, I am sure that if I challenge the hedge fund managers, the whatever, venture capitalists, whatever words they use to build their shallow world, I would break their reality and ability to stay above board and out of the fraud ring, for which then they send executioners at capital punishment. So I'm a little confused when 1% knows, and I'm just looking to be absorbed into something so I can survive and find a respectable person to be with and a journey with. I'm just really confused how they've performed and acted this way for so much of my life, with my life steadily getting worse, and there's been no enhancements, and there's been no future built for me to get out of this situation. But yet, what I bring to the world is definition, for which they're conducting some form of business and transaction, which is like a house of cards in sand. One wind, one challenge, and boom, it's gone. What level of human do I need to speak to, and how do I get on their schedule? It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way universe, galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. They talk about the Magi. They talk about Star King. I have enough reality built in the placement amongst man and many, many stars. I have definition. There is that, again, is that yogi? Is that Yanni? Which word is the magical word? Because I live in a place where it's just, now in the Episcopalian Church, it's father and mother of the church that I enter on Sunday. But in the area, it's been mostly priest, it's been priest at the front of the church. But that has gotten me nowhere in singularity of stars when I have definition. So this gets really confusing. Where the path was broken, why was it broken, and why is nobody doing anything about it? Um, I listen to my son. My father has this brother clause that he's doing right now. I think about it in if Santa Claus and Saint Nick with Yule tidings approval for hallmarks in the United States of America for a celebration of this Nick and this Saint Nick. They have Santa Claus, Klaus, whatever, however you pronounce it. There's the chimney, there's the tree, there's the presents for the children. Um, there's this doing charitable work, but also having this symbolic holiday. My father is who was an actor and a like again just a not not like a Kevin Costner, but he was the only actor I've ever met and knew growing up. Um, and um, he's interviewing my son. So I know somebody, my father used to wear Brooks Brothers suits. I mean, he was a very respectable businessman as far as I was concerned. Um, I mean, as far as a father-daughter relationship, I was utmost respectful of his place in the business world. I knew that my entire, like, he was my rock. So there's that. But it's like this shift and this warping of space-time and reality that's I'm really having a problem with in my adulthood of now I look at my father the other day and how he's costumed because there is no office to go to. There is no, like, I don't know. Now everything's on this equipment of video cameras and whatever in this personal epilogue of like somebody made an investment, I feel, in my father in my youth to keep me safe, to keep him safe as they could, but in preparation for this very special child and in preparation for this very respectful male to be introduced into my world and for me to be married to. The problem is that the baby showed up and then that brings into not in my area of the world because there are no rules here. There is no you got to marry, you don't have like there's nothing here. Nothing's been presented. There's no rules of any engagement here, which is part of the problem, but that's part of the future problem for the regular stars that have no semblance of anything built for them. So that goes into a whole nother paradigm, but for which I think on all of these things in my silence and my solitude, but I have no way of preparing or helping build for the people in their singularity from my platform of definition. Nothing's been provided for me. So, anyhow, so I'm listening to Lewis and I'm listening to Nucci and I'm listening to them. He has him in like a planetary space in like outer space. And I think that they did a really nice job. And my father's working as like Brother Claus in that character portrayal with my son in order to have something. I thought my son did a very nice job in as far as being objective of the work that they did. Again, I'm not in film, I'm not in editing, I'm not in podcasting necessarily, like with microphones and studios and all that stuff that my dad's been introduced to in his career. But again, I haven't had the same doors open. Somebody poured time and effort into him in making sure that his schedule was, he learned about fuel cells, he learned about cell phones, he learned about all this stuff from a singular star in relation to my specialness and the child that I was going to have. But that's like a parabolic, that's paranormal, that's a frightening layer of looking from the heavens down to earth or at earth for like a microscopic, like, how do I build a ladder from where I see things and where I'm built in the quantum realm to where just single points of energy are moving in some molecular entanglement of sorts, and then random probability and how things cascade off or whatever. Again, I'm not that intricate because time and space is warped in such a manner that it's so off that I don't even have an entry doorway to get to the respectable male that I was built for. Like, I was built for a male. I don't know what happened in the journey between like the beginning of our season before the extra special child arrived, but there's some real serious stuff at a conversation between two people, and I can't get to him. I don't know how to get to him. I don't know where that doorway exists. So now I'm just opening like some form of a wormhole, I suppose, in some channel, knowing I have very special placement. They've given me letters. They've given me a numerical placement in some astrology calendar. I know the very special person that I was built for can find me. I just don't know how to build my world towards his world. I really have no clue. And it's frightening that it's gone on this long with leaving me out here just existing in a vacuum by myself, trying to survive while there is so much built around that are throwing. I mean, like, let's just go with this. Since Brady's on an escalator in the same time frame as me, where I bring definition to his life because we are in the same solar whatever. How much are one of those rings at Super Bowl, like the jewelers and their whatever? I've never, whatever one costs in their gifts to him for being so great, I haven't made that much money in my entire life. And that's one of the rings that they just gave to him just because he throws a football. But he arrived on the same escalator as I did. But I bring definition to the galaxy and the universe in real polymathematics, polyscience, and that's what political riffs go off of. At like interstitial family space of family tree. And by the way, they did disperse a family tree trimming representative. Now, was I supposed to be frightened of this man? I'm just curious. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza.